Will, talk to me.
ABC Tuesday.
They took his daughter. She's coming home alive.
Will Trent, the series critics are calling powerful must-see TV, continues to thrill.
Shouldn't we strategize before we go in there?
If we screw up this case, a cop killer walks free.
With the riveting conclusion to a 2-part season premiere.
GBI!
Help me!
Get down!
Will Trent, all new Tuesday on ABC and stream on Hulu.
Guys, what's up? Welcome to the Bird Brain Podcast, where the goal is to rise above it all, stay elevated, create that infinity, and up your you. I'm your host, Isaiah, and the marathon continues. Another awesome conversation I'm excited to have today with a very good friend of mine, and again, family. My mom, she has a lot of kids out here she doesn't know about, and this guy is no different. Someone who I admire, I look up to, and he's my little brother, but I hold him in high regards and very hardworking, very much an influence in community, and just all around great person. So you guys will get to hear from him. If you like what you're listening to, head on over to iTunes, subscribe, comment, like, review, all the good stuff to make this podcast even better. A little bit goes a long way, so I always appreciate it, and it just helps spread the word, honestly. So yeah, head on over. If you want to support the podcast, head on over to Patreon. You can become a patron. And different tiers, different rewards, but all around good stuff. And lastly, if you want to get your own podcast merch, the Bird Brain Podcast store, you could check out shirts, hats, hoodies, because for me, it's hoodie weather all year round. I love a good hoodie. And you can get yours. So without further ado, guys, get ready for this one. It's going to be fun. All right, stay tuned.
Rise above it all. Stay elevated. And create that infinity of your you. Of your you.
Guys, what's up? What's going on? I don't know what day of the week it is, so I'll just say happy day to you. How are you doing? How's your heart? How's your headspace? We're winding down for the holidays. How's that going for you? Hit me up. You can hit me up on the Bird Brain Podcast or just email Bird Brain Podcast and on Twitter. I'm bad about social media in a very weird way, but you can always reach out. I love chatting with you guys, and today is no different. I'm getting to chat with a very good friend of mine, my little brother, but somebody I definitely look up to. He's a good dude, hardworking, very smart, and hilarious. And I'll let him tell you who he is and what he does. But without further ado, my bro Coco. Cody, what's good, man?
Yo, what's up, brother?
Nothing much. How are you?
Good, man. How are you doing?
I'm good. Just chilling in good old LA right now, And,
Hey, well, good afternoon from Colorado, man.
yes, sir. How's the weather out there right now?
It's been a little cold lately, but, the sun's always shining out here, so the snow is melting,
Mm-hmm.
the mud is coming out,
Come on. Are you ready? Huh?
It's good. It's a little windy today specifically, but I think this week, we're in the 50s all week, so not too bad. 50s, and when the sun's shining and there's no humidity, it's pretty good.
Damn, so no white Christmas for you guys.
I don't know, man. We'll see. Maybe a miracle will happen.
Yeah.
Usually we get snow on Halloween instead of Christmas. That's how it works out here.
Well, I mean, Colorado's weird, dude, but I mean, Halloween is the vibe. I think I'd be happier about seeing snow on Halloween. No, I take that back because I'm not even a fan of snow at this point. I had a dream the other night about just snow, and I woke up so stressed out. I was like, okay, this is how I know I'm kind of.
The only reason I'd stress about snow is if I have to shovel all of it at 5 a.m. Other than that, it's kind of my playground.
Oh yeah.
I love the snow. I just got my my crossbars for my car today, so I can put on my ski racks and hopefully get some days up on the mountain over winter break. So
sick.
we will see.
Well, speaking of winter break, give us a little background, or give the audience a background about like what you do and some of your favorite things.
All right. So I am currently a physical education teacher. It is my second year teaching. Something interesting about my teaching experience so far is I have yet to teach a full year of normal school. Everything with COVID has definitely thrown a wrench into everybody's lives. It's plenty of stress and additional things to, plan for. So it's been kind of tough, but kind of interesting. I think, it's made me a better teacher for sure.
Yeah.
And as a new teacher, I'm not used to anything, so it's easily adaptable for me.
Right.
But it's been good. I'm thankful that I teach a great group of students that are able to adapt and overcome and persevere through all the challenges that life is throwing at, young 6th through 8th graders. They're checking emails daily. But, overall, it's just been crazy not being able to be in the building with the students lately. The first quarantine happened, and that was a big transition for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
In life, not just students, not just me, everybody. And then, starting back this school year, we started in a hybrid model where, kids are coming 1-2 days a week.
Yeah.
But they're only seeing me specifically one time a week. So to only see my kids once a week and then also have one day online for them to do schoolwork, it was pretty stressful, because you want to be there for all the kids and be a support for them. And it felt like I was really spread thin, teaching. Yeah. Some kids are 100% remote and they never come to school. So I'm teaching that group of students on top of my half hybrid students who are in person and then kids at home on the same day. So it's essentially I was teaching to 3 groups of kids, trying to keep things equitable, which, there's nothing equitable about what is happening. So
yeah,
it's been tough, man. But I'd say this time around we are back to remote learning 100%. So lots of Zoom calls, lots of live working out, which has been great for me and the kids, and just getting them up and moving and trying to keep them to understand, that it's okay to still be a kid. Don't focus on the growing up stuff too fast, because I in my day was never checking an email when I was in middle school. And you got first graders. My little sister, man, she's in first grade and she's on the computer every day. She's got a nicer computer than I do.
Right.
It's been interesting, man. But overcoming it, really focusing on the mindfulness this time around.
Yes.
With the kids and the social, emotional wellness, I think is huge for not just the kids, but even us adults and people just going through daily life,
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you mentioned the mindfulness and I was like, I don't know if he's going to talk about this, but I'm glad you brought it up because, for me, and I'm sure a lot of people in their school career, Phys.ed, when you think of Phys.ed, you just think about like, all right, is dodgeball, wiffle ball, something else. It is like, it's something to that degree. It's so funny because like, I mean, and we've talked about this, Phys.ed used to stress me out. Like it gave me anxiety and, it just really like messed with me. And I just felt like, all right, cool. I have to do this. Because I wasn't like really into competitive sports and stuff like that. So for me, it was just like, my experience was like, all right, I have to get through this versus like, I'm looking forward to this. And something that I think you do very well, and that's very interesting, that I haven't heard or seen a lot in that, I for one, in Phys.ed, but just I think generally in school, is the implementing of mindfulness and, being aware of what you're thinking, what you're feeling. And, how do you manage, you personally, how are you successful at doing that? Because I think that's pretty dope. And, I tip my hat off to you for that, because you don't have to do that. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to. And it's like, again, there are teachers that I've had that I remember, and I remember their impact on me, because of how they handled me or other students. And, you know, so with you, like my question to you is like, how do you successfully do that? And, you know, how has it affected the kids, you know, practicing mindfulness when they, you know, their expectation is probably like, all right, we're just going to kick a ball around and then go elsewhere, go to English class.
Yeah. No doubt. Man, that's a loaded question, but I think I have a decent answer for you. So I think the biggest thing that I have found success with is, one, you know, I'm not far off from being out of college. You know, I'm 25. I graduated at, I don't even know. It feels like the years are just flying by. I think I graduated at 22 or something. So this is my second year. I went straight out of college into a teaching position at a middle school.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing that I've found importance is every day, not only am I thinking in my shoes as a teacher, like what am I going to do to facilitate a good lesson? Because I think being a teacher truly is being a good facilitator, and also you're wearing 1,000 hats. You know, I'm not just teaching. I'm not just rolling out the ball. You know, like
right.
All the planning that I do is a lot of it I don't even write down. A lot of it's in my thoughts daily. I have a 30-minute drive to work, so I get a lot of time to be mindful, and you know, a lot of times that's when I'm listening to your podcast, and it kind of inspires me to bring things that you talk about into class, and as well as other things that I experience in person. But the biggest key to my success, I think, is trying to always put myself in the student's shoes,
right,
and be cognizant and aware of, you know, what they're going through daily. And okay, if I'm going to get up in front of the class and facilitate something, how is that making my students feel? So big parts of things that I like to do is just, you know, giving students ownership over what they're actually learning.
Yeah.
You know, a big part of teaching is making an objective for the day and making sure that the kids know the objective. You know, for me, that seems still a little old school teaching, because I think everyone knows that, you know, I might intend for you to learn something, but you might learn something completely different,
right,
on accident. You know, it's one day for one kid, he might be learning, or she might be learning teamwork, whereas another student might just be learning how to throw or catch.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's all about how can I create a lesson where there's learning to be had in multiple different ways, you know, cognitively, psychomotor, like their physical skills, and then their affective domain, where they're really focusing on things of the heart, you know, and just being a good person. So I think that is, overall, that's my key to success, I think, and what makes what I do a passion of mine is, you know, putting myself in the kids' shoes and remembering what it's like to be in their shoes. When I had school or PE, any classes, you know, I think that's really important, is just being able to have empathy for the kids and the stuff that they're going through.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I think it's, like I said, I think, and I know you do it well based off of what we talked about in terms of like your feedback from students and everything like that. And it's not so much, you know, to do things to get, what's the word I'm looking for? To get a reward from it. But I think it is rewarding when it's like your work speaks for itself and your work speaks for you. And you, Cody, specifically, you know, like I said, in most phys ed classes, kids are not having a conversation about mindfulness. And, you know, there's a lot that's happening at certain stages, you know, especially when you're like a young adult or, you know, a preteen or a teenager. There's a lot of things happening. So when you go into a class that's supposed to just be like, all right, get all your adrenaline out and let's just drop kick through a wall. Instead, it's like, okay, we're going to do these things, but at the same time, all right, we're going to be mindful of like what we're feeling, or when we walk away from here, how do we take this skill and apply it to our daily lives? And again, I personally, and it's not a bias, I just don't think that people easily forget that, you know, it takes very little effort, but it takes the right kind of intention to make sure that people feel seen, people feel heard. And, you know, children are people. They're not just children. Children are people. And there's a lot that they're usually juggling. And adults the same, adults just get better at hiding it. But with children, it's like you see it in one way or another. Either it appears physically, or it's like there's a verbal dialogue, or there's just something that's going on that you could kind of pinpoint to a certain degree. And, to feel like, okay, I know that my teacher has my best interests at heart, and it's kind of like looking out for my well-being above just my grade, that sticks.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of grades, that's something huge. Like, man, I remember for myself, PE in general, and physical activity in sports can be very intimidating and very traumatic for kids, if they're not exposed to it in the right way. And, a lot of times, when you get to that high school age, I know specifically, PE, they try to push us as teachers to, stick to a standard and make sure that we are grading students based on sometimes their physical ability.
Mm-hmm.
But the cool thing about teaching is that I have the freedom to define what that means, And so for me, when I grade a student on their physical abilities, I'm not grading on how well necessarily that they can throw, but I'm focusing on, I always like to tell my students this, is this a PE lesson or is this a life lesson? And what I do with that is I really hone in and focus on the idea that we all have to embrace a growth mindset in life. And through that, in my class, we can practice those things. We can practice having a growth mindset through the fun of games, sports, activities. And I think that's something that the kids really respect, rather than me giving a grade based on, hey, can you throw the ball and hit this target, out of 10 times? How many times can you do it? I don't grade like that. I grade on your work ethic and your growth mindset. Are you showing me every day that you are trying to be better than you were yesterday? In one way or another, whether that's with your physical ability, whether that's with your communication, whether that's with the way that you're treating others. That's all I want you to focus on is this, my class, and you like the student. This is something my dad always says, and I get a lot of my inspiration from him is because he is also a physical education teacher. We teach the same grade level, so I have a veteran teacher that I get to bounce ideas off of. And something he always says is, the student and yourself, whoever you are in the class, you are the project. So all we're trying to do every single day is just are you going to be better the next day? Are you going to be better each time you come into this class? Are you striving to be better, or are you having that closed mindset, where you're not trying to grow? And that's really what we focus on. And I think that allows for so much more ownership in the learning of the student and makes it meaningful for them. Because they're really trying to improve themselves.
Sick, dude. That's See, guys, you see what I'm talking about? This guy, he's a different breed, man. I love that, dude. I really love that because it's like, it's so. I think there's so much to juggle. Like I said, more than just hey, because you could easily be one of those teachers like, hey, I'm gonna roll out some balls and you guys don't kill each other. Don't aim for the eyes, and you got 30 minutes, have at it. But instead, you're making these kids aware. And like you said, Phys.ed at a certain age can be very traumatic, and it can leave a lasting impression in a very weird way. We downplay our experiences growing up and like how they've molded who we are in adulthood and like, how we kind of integrate ourselves in community or not. It's a lot of like some unhealed wounds sometimes, or you have it where it's like you do have those teachers that stick out and they've kind of motivated you or encouraged you or just like saw you and made it a point to just treat you like a human, somebody of quality versus like, this is just somebody on the roster. I'll never forget my 11th grade teacher, Mr. Aites. He was dope. Mr. Aites was just like, he just kind of had this presence to him. And he was my world history teacher, I believe, in high school. And he had I don't know if it was nominated me or inducted me. He got me inducted into Who's Who Among America's High School Students.
Okay.
Yeah, so like I guess he vouched for me. I had no idea until I got the letter. But yeah, I was in Who's Who Among America's High School Students because of Mr. Aites. And when I tell you that, you know, when I had told my mom about it, when I told my aunt about it, they cried. Like when I brought home the letter and I told them what it was, because I didn't really process what it was either. They cried, and they were happy about it. And, I'll never forget that, because how often is it that you have teachers, again, that are making sure you understand that, hey, you are a valuable individual and I already see what you're capable of. And I'm just going to influence that a little bit more, so you take that with you for the rest of your life. Not because of what I get out of it, but because of how I want to take care of you in this moment as best as I can. So,
exactly.
It's awesome. It's really awesome. And I'll never forget Mr. Aites. And Cody, like I tell you all the time, your kids are not going to forget how you treat them. Your kids are not going to forget the time that you've taken and invested. And it could be something indirectly that you do or say that impacts them. And it's not about being perfect. I think it's just about being, potent and having some kind of conviction behind what you do. And that's why I do value you, bro, because it's like you have conviction. You have conviction in what you do. And we always have a choice of how devoted we want to be to something. And I feel like you give yourself, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, man. It's, and for me, it doesn't always feel like, I don't feel like I'm bending over backwards. I'm doing what I feel like is the right thing to do for these kids.
Right.
And, and it's a two-way street. My students inspire me just as much as I inspire them, and I think that's the beauty in teaching itself. And it all comes full circle, as a teacher, you're a lifelong learner, I think is the best way to put it, and I have so many mentors in my corner that have helped me grow and do what I do the way I do it, and that those people are, some of the most valuable people in my life, like I truly do value all of the coworkers that I have, that we're a big team, and, with everything with COVID, it's been tough because, we don't get to talk to each other as much. We don't get to community build like we used to. It's stressful in what we're doing right now, but man, my principal was my student council teacher back when I was in high school, and the chances that he had a position open when I graduated, was huge. And, he had no part in being on the hiring committee because he knew me. But at the same time, it was like going into that place, and as nerve-wracking as it was for my first interview, I felt like I was at home already before I even got there. And, I am thankful for all the people who have opened their arms and helped me one way or another, whether it's just motivating me to be better, or motivating me to have new ideas and just keep at it. I have a coworker, Angie, who, she really pushed me to focus on climate and culture, and developing good relationships at home. And that's something that was really cool, that, every Friday I would pick a student from every period and call home, just to tell the parents how great their student is doing.
I love that.
Rather than the alternative of every Friday calling and telling parents what their student did wrong or something like that. Just trying to be positive and look for the positive in every single day. That's something that I work on with the kids. And, some days it's really hard to find the positive, but if you look hard enough, you can find it,
Dude, come on now. I love it. I really love it. It speaks a lot in terms of character. And like I said, effort. It's very easy to not work hard. It's very easy to just kind of like just exist versus like, all right, I'm going to have some due diligence in what I do and, and carry it out properly. So when you're not taking care of other people and other students and their well-being, how are you taking care of yourself? And it's like, what are some things that you apply to your, you said you have moments of mindfulness and everything like that. So it's like, how do you take care of yourself in those little moments, but also like, what do you enjoy doing for fun?
Oh man, I have lots of fun. I became a PE teacher for a reason. I like being a kid, man. I like the freedom and the fun and, just the joy of the small things. I think that's something I see every day, is just the smallest thing can excite a true kid, and I think that's how I take care of myself is, staying true to that and still doing the things that I've done since I was a kid and, hopefully doing it for as long as possible. A lot of what I do for a living translates right into what I do in life, and that's trying to be physically active and healthy for a lifetime. That's the ultimate goal, I think. So things I like to do for fun.
Break bones.
I try not to break bones. That sometimes is a product of what I do. So, if you asked me that when it's weird, when I was a kid, if you asked me what I wanted to do in second grade, I would have told you I wanted to be a PE teacher.
Wow.
And I know that because I wrote it in a little book that we had to do.
Yeah.
My mom probably has it somewhere up in her attic.
Nice.
But there is someplace, a note of me saying, this is what I want to do for a living. Obviously, as I got older, I think the thing that deterred me from actually wanting to follow my dream and my passion is just the money value that you get out of being an educator. And sometimes, what I've experienced is just being almost like people look at me and they're like, man, you wanted to do that? Do you know how much you get paid and stuff like that? Obviously I didn't do it for the pay. But as a young high school kid, that was something. It was like, man, I'm really good at math and science. I could go an engineering route. I could go the medical route. Those were things that I enjoyed. Yeah. But it just didn't seem like I was going to be living a lifestyle that I was envisioning, as a young kid. But, man, I grew up wanting to be in the X Games, big into wakeboarding, snowboarding. I think I learned how to wakeboard, man, probably before I could actually swim. I think I was 4 or 5 years old. I got thrown out on a wakeboard. I mean, obviously I grew up watching my dad and his buddies do it. And that was definitely one of the first extreme sports that I really got into, since I was in diapers. My dad was a head wrestling coach, so I naturally, my daycare was the wrestling room.
Nice.
With a bunch of high school kids, and that was a big part of my life for a long time. I think wrestling taught me a lot of things, but it wasn't a true passion that I saw a future in. So I made sure that I looked at it as that. I enjoyed it while I did it, but it wasn't something that was gonna carry me through life. I picked up snowboarding at a pretty young age. To the point where I don't even remember learning a lot of these things. It was just feels like everything kind of came natural.
Wow.
Just because I was exposed to it at such a young age, you just naturally kind of adapt to those things. So, going through all that. And then, I was about 9 years. I played soccer for a little bit. I was 9 years old. We moved to Colorado, met some cool kids and lived across the street from a skate park. Got pretty into skateboarding. But I wasn't just I don't know, have you ever seen the cartoon Rocket Power?
Yeah, I didn't like that show for some reason. It's some of my friends loved it. I was like, I don't know what about this show. It just never vibed with me. But yes, I know Rocket Power. Yeah.
Well, if you know Rocket Power, that was my ideal lifestyle. My dad would wake up at 6 a.m. to get me to the skate park before all the older kids got there and started, causing chaos.
Yeah.
So we'd load up the truck. I had my BMX bike, my rollerblades, my skateboard, my scooter. I took everything, and it was just that was my place to have fun. I could ride anything and jump off of stuff, and I actually didn't get hurt much when I was younger, other than some elbow scabs and knees, but
fast forward
nothing major until your body starts to get bigger and the falls get harder. And I could probably have done more stretching as I was working out. There's a hindsight, 20/20 vision. You just got to keep looking forward. But definitely could have done better to prepare. But, you know, you don't do extreme sports without the injuries. You know, that comes hand in hand with those things. So, yeah, I was big into that stuff, man. Anything with wheels that I could jump off of something was that was my stuff, man. And
you stress me out, bro.
That pushed me into a whole nother line of sports. You know, I was tired of always having the scabs and my hips hurting from falling down at the skate park. You know, concrete is not forgiving.
Right.
I think I made the decision probably, now I say this, but, you know, if you gave me a skateboard right now, I'd ride it. But it kind of pushed me away from those kind of sports where I was like just getting hurt all the time. And, you know, every new trick you learned, you know, 1,000 tries came with 1,000 falls as well, you know, until you landed it. So
yeah,
I moved my way into the sport of hockey where, you know, I could get fully padded up and it was like, man, there was no consequences. I could skate full speed and run into the wall and you didn't feel it, you know? So got into hockey, met a lot of cool people, made a lot of cool friends, you know, and then jumped from that to picking up lacrosse as a young kid. And those were definitely like my two main sports, you know, through that middle school age. But then, you know, going to my high school, we didn't have those sports to play on. I could have, you know, open enrolled to another school and played, but none of that stuff. I didn't live close to the school I went to in the first place. It just didn't seem like it was something that I was going to do. And I think at a young age, I realized, you know, sports are a lot of fun, but, you know, that's not the most important thing in your life. And, you know, I know a lot of kids that struggle with that. And, you know, there's a lot of people that sports is their life. And I think that's really cool. I think you can learn a lot of good things from them. But for me, there was just, I could never stick to one thing and get really great at it. You know, I could do just about everything and be pretty good. But there was nothing that I was like, I'm going to dedicate my life to this, you know. And so I jumped around, and high school came around. You know, I wanted to letter and be a part of a team. And so the only sport that my school had that I had experience in was wrestling. So I jumped back into that. Did the thing for a couple of years. You know, I went to a school with a lot of very competitive and very talented wrestlers that have been, you know, I took a long break from 5th grade all the way to 9th grade of wrestling. So I was a little rusty coming back into it. But I enjoyed it while it lasted, but I was the tiniest kid ever. I was like 5 foot freshman year, 90-something pounds, no body fat. And then that kind of just, you know, one thing led to another. And I was like, you know what? I am tired of being the tiny guy. And so I started working out. I quit wrestling. It was too much cardio for my body type, honestly. Started weightlifting. That was that was a big part of my life, you know, until injuries happened. You know, big snowboarding accident, multiple reconstruction surgeries on the shoulder. That was on my, I just turned 21. I was like 21, 25 now, you know, but it was definitely a couple of years worth of recovery, having to do multiple surgeries back to back, you know, and it kind of put life into perspective for me. You know, all about learning from your experiences, you know, and that's I think what life is about. But those are the fun things in my life, man. And you know, I've struggled to get back into lifting. My body doesn't react to it the way it used to. I don't feel as great as I used to, but, you know, I'm taking it one step at a time and trying to get the passion back where it needs to be. You know, I'm actually hoping to get back into weightlifting this week. I've been doing a good 6 weeks of body weight exercises, prepping with the students, actually. So I'm kind of taking advantage of my profession to take care of myself. Work in. You know?
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, exactly. I'm finally getting paid to work out.
Dude.
That was always a childhood dream.
Get your sets in, bro. That's awesome. What's your favorite food and favorite movie?
Ooh. Well, I can tell you the favorite movie immediately. Never Back Down, for sure.
Really?
Yeah, you ever seen that movie?
Yeah, I know that movie.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I just thought it was cool, and, you know, I like the way it makes me feel like the adrenaline is pumping while I'm watching a movie. You know, it's action-oriented. Nice. I resonated with it. I like the grind and the hard work, you know, that's something that's always been cool to me. And then, you know, just the underdog story is always fun as well.
I'm always here for a good underdog story, man. I like those. I like those too. It's, and I guess for different reasons, you know what I'm saying? It's funny because you said that you were like, you were 5 foot and 90 pounds in freshman year of high school. Meanwhile, I was, shoot, I don't think I've ever said this, but I was close to 6 foot if I wasn't 6 foot by my freshman year. And I was also a pretty heavy kid. So I was like Jesus, I was a thick boy. I was well over 200. I was probably the weight that I am now.
Dude, you're a unit. I love it.
Bro, I was a
I admire that. I wish I could. Hey,
Dude.
but you know what? I'd probably get way more hurt if I was your size because,
Yeah.
the bigger you are, the harder you fall.
Bro.
So I'm taking the hybrid approach. I'm like right in the middle. Most average human being out there.
Bro, I'm telling you, I remember, and recently this comes with age, but like I was brushing my teeth once and I pulled the muscle in my back and I was like, how the hell does this happen? Like, how do you pull a muscle while you're brushing your teeth? Like the most mundane of tasks. And I was like, okay, this is like life reached a new level for me and I wasn't prepared. But yeah, I think being a big dude too, it's funny because I was like I said, for me, I couldn't hide. Like I couldn't hide. I sort of stuck out like a sore thumb. But at the same time, I was very much like, I tried to just kind of like hide away. And my mom, she used to get on me. She still does. She's like, you're too big to be this shy or like to be like this or whatever. And I'm like, I'm just introverted, homie. It's like, I'm not really, all right, I am shy, but it's like, I'm not, I don't know. It's interesting. Like I said, how, and again, it all comes back down to it. Like everybody has a different experience that they carry through life. And, you and I, we both like the underdog story for the same and different reasons. It's kind of one of those things of like, stepping into you and also recognizing what you're capable of versus what people may see or think. And that's always a beautiful thing when you come out on top, not stepping on anyone's toes to get there, but just like coming into yourself and being who you are and letting that carry through life, regardless of what your size is or, your appearance may be. It's like you're still making a very impactful footprint in the world,
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, and even people like you, man, the shy ones, I'm one in the same. I've gotten better about it because, being a teacher, I can't be up there and be shy.
Right.
But that was it was a struggle for me to get to where I am now.
Yeah.
But I think it's good that people like you do speak up and share your thoughts and your mind. And you're a smart dude and you're a good person. You've got a lot to share. And I know I've seen it. You impact a lot of people, whether you take credit for it or not. I know you impacted me quite a bit, just being an open ear and an outside person in my life that is able to, talk some sense into me here and there, or just give advice, or just be someone to talk to, that's unconditional with the way that you treat others, and I think that's important.
Dude.
But yeah, man, you're valued, dude, no doubt. And you make a big footprint, man.
Wow, thank you, bro. I appreciate that.
Figuratively and literally.
Literally, he's like, you damn behemoth. Well, here's a fun fact about like Cody and I. Cody, how long have we been boys now? Is it 5-6 years?
It's been years, bro. It was definitely before I got shoulder surgery.
Yep.
Yeah, I know exactly how we became friends. I posted an Instagram video of me putting a live spider in my mouth.
Psycho.
Because, I like to practice the no fear.
Right.
Another thing, when I was a kid, man, I always wanted to be on Fear Factor.
Oh, jeez.
I'd always I always thought I wanted to be on it, but then I was also scared. It's like, man, I could do a lot of the things, but man, some of the stuff they eat, I'm like, no way.
Just no.
But yeah, I think that's how.
That's how it happened.
On Instagram. We've still yet to meet in person, but we definitely keep in contact like we've known each other for our whole lives. So it's a cool relationship to have. it's different, but it's unique, and I think it's valuable, and needed. So hopefully one of these days, man, hopefully this pandemic stuff can blow over and we can
link up,
get together out there in California, man. I've never made it past like Nevada. That's like the farthest west I've been to Vegas, and other than that, man, I'm all East Coast. Originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I was born in Florida, but I only really lived there for a year. I was 1 year old. I don't remember that, but I remember all the good memories going back and visiting family and stuff out in Florida. I still think at heart I enjoy the ocean more than the mountains. But
okay, so California is your spot then. You need to be here.
That's rocket power. Like I said, that's my goal, is to be able to do it all every single day, and that's what keeps me going and having fun is just, speaking of mindfulness, when I am doing those type of sports like that, that's one of the times where I don't even have to think about being present in the moment, And when you're not present in the moment, man, you suffer the consequences, because that is how I fell down and tore out my shoulder.
Yeah, that'll do it, bro.
I was too busy looking at the beautiful view. I was like, man, what a nice day. And then next thing you know, my face was in the ground. I wasn't even doing any of the crazy stuff I do. I was just riding at a high speed.
Just existing.
On some ice. Not the greatest conditions, but when you fall, you just got to get back up.
Dude. Real quick, what's your favorite food?
Favorite food? My least favorite food would have to be chicken, because I've
ate it so much.
What is my favorite food? Oh my God, Oreos.
Yes.
Does that count as a food?
Yeah, we can rock with that. Oreos is nutrition.
Like kryptonite.
Yes, I actually just got some Oreos the other night. I was like, it's been like a weird week, and I've been feeling like kind of under the weather. But I saw Oreos, and I was like, well, I don't know. In my head, this makes sense. So I'm going to just get some.
You can't live without Oreos, man.
You can't live without Oreos.
What do they put in those things? The ingredient label has to be
crack.
Enormous.
It has to be like illegal in some places for sure, but it's like we just haven't caught on to it yet. But yeah, Oreos they're a divine creation, honestly. So they're just meant to exist. You know what I'm saying? It's an enigma.
Oh, yes, it is. It goes against all of my moral values to eat Oreos, but I love it. No,
dude, that's
the fitness background and Oreos don't get along, man.
No,
that's another thing we have that's huge in common. You're a personal trainer. You're really into psychology. I think that's a big reason why we've hit it off so much. I went the route of getting a personal training certificate when I was 18, but being a young 18-year-old, it's hard to establish what you know and get a job in that type of field for any type of corporate, stepping stone job. I never had a real employment prior to trying to be a personal trainer, but it was something that was on my bucket list to get certified, and it was something I had a passion for, and I did it. I did not follow through with being a personal trainer, but it went hand in hand with what I studied in college, and to become a physical education teacher, it's still something that I hold close to heart, and I know that you are a very well-versed personal trainer, and I feel like you're a life coach. You just haven't written it down yet.
I avoid that statement all the time, and it's funny because, I never considered to become a personal trainer. Like the podcast, the same was with the personal trainer, because I was like, well, I could work out. I was like, I don't know if I'll be able to teach someone else, or how to even go about that. Like the thought of being responsible for someone else's well-being and all that stuff, just kind of stressed me out. I was like, because what if I don't know what I'm doing? Meanwhile, it's actually been very much one of the best decisions I made in terms of getting my certification, but also too with the psychology. I understood very early on how I felt when I exercised versus not, and I stumbled into weight training on my own in college, because I did it in high school kind of, but I didn't really I was like, I don't know, it's whatever. But in college, I was just kind of like on my own, left to my own devices, and I started lifting a lot, training a lot, and I was like, I enjoy this. And the thing about it is, one of my avenues I was going to take up was becoming a therapist, and that was always on the plan. That was always on the planner in terms of my life. I was like, if the acting thing does whatever, I'll become a therapist. And like now, I've found a weird way to just do all the things because I'm like, well, I can't just pick one. And
that's inspiring, bro.
Yeah.
You're a true jack of all trades, like we've talked about, and
yes.
I know that's something your sister tells you all the time.
Yes,
it's very true, and you live to it, man. It's,
dude.
I mean, what, dude? You bake too?
Yeah, that's the thing.
We definitely have some cooking in common.
Bro,
I have leisurely picked up cooking just because I
gotta eat.
It's another mindfulness thing, man. It's something where you have to be present in the moment. I can't go through the motions and cook without paying attention to what I'm doing, or it's not going to come out great.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because like Coco, he got me my Instapot, and man, I love that thing to death. It's so damn good, and it's just like it's kind of magic. But yeah, it's like it's one of those things I really love, and the pot for itself, but also the sentiment, and it's like whenever, like I always say, and I always stress and emphasize, it's like how people show up in your life, not because they have to, but because they just want to, speaks volumes for who you are, who they are, and what you guys have. And, bro, you've done that for me in such a big way. And it's crazy. Like I said, 4 or 5 years, maybe we've been buddies, haven't met in person, but it just goes to show it's like intention, effort, and conviction. When you have those things and you have some commonality, you just have two people willing to breathe life and constantly water each other's gardens. Proximity is not the deciding or defining factor in terms of like what kind of connection you have. So, brother, you're always symbolic for me in terms of like, sometimes you just connect the dots with your tribes. It's not always going to be from your backyard. It's just people you find along the way. And
yeah, man,
you guys just look out for each other.
Exactly. Friendship, man, it's the best gift you can get, honestly.
Bro, it's
gets you through all the times, man.
All
the
times.
It makes the times fun, makes them go quick. Friendship's important. Whether it's family friendship, I think all the lines cross eventually. It's definitely something important, for that mental health to have friends and just people to talk to, I think is huge.
Yeah.
And people to support you through the things, and like you said, share the good news, man.
Bro,
those good news friends. It's like you got to contact them first.
Yes, it's always the people you want to share good news with, and it's like, again, the reason why, and I go back to this all the time. When you think about the people you want to share good news with, it's not about the good news; it's about how good they make you feel, or how good they've taken care of you in your space. And you just feel like, all right, this is something that's important and delicate to me. I can share this with them because I know it's going to be nurtured. And that's always something to be mindful of and also appreciate and not take for granted, because look, it's nothing like friendship. And yeah, dude, like I said, you've done it.
The friendship is built off of that vulnerability, man. I think that even though we've never met in person, we were very vulnerable with each other. And, that's truly what lights up a friendship, when you can actually get to know who the person is that you're talking to or, hanging out with. I think that's important, is to know the background, know where people came from, and understand that, put yourself in other people's shoes every once in a while. And you start to realize how good people really are. I think it's easy in today to think that, we're losing faith in humanity. But I think that if people actually spent more time to value and get to know the people around them, man, the world is such a better place.
Truly, bro. It's just, it's effort. It's effort. And I think it's like intention. And you do both very well. You do both very
you,
well.
Dude.
Absolutely.
You as well.
Thanks, bro. Well, guys, listen. If you take anything from this episode, just know that some of your phys ed teachers are pretty damn dope, and they probably eat Oreos.
I always tell the kids it's about moderation. I'm like, don't think that I don't go home and eat Oreos every once in a while, but just don't eat the whole box at once.
Or eat the whole box if you need to. I mean, rainy days, though. Rainy days. But yeah, guys, it's like, look, these are, like I said, these people are family to me for a reason, and they have impacted other people in the world beyond just me, and more than they realize. And this is just one more person I'm happy to share this space with. So yeah, take note of that, and take note of the people in your lives. And like I said, take care of yourselves, take care of each other. And Cody, thank you, bro, for being on and sharing this space with me.
Dude, thank you. What a privilege, man. I appreciate you in many ways, and yeah, thank you.
Heck
it was a good time, and yeah, put a smile on my face, made my day, man. That's what it's all about.
Hell yeah, nice. All right, guys.
Level up,
bro. Take flight, guys.
%of households that join Peloton early in the year are still active a year later.
Yeah, if you like cycling to EDM.
Not just EDM. Try cycling to Broadway hits, take a scenic hike in Iceland on our treadmill, or row to some 80s jams.
Because I have so much free time.
Whether you have 30 minutes or just 5, Peloton can fit any schedule. 92% stick with it. So can you. Try Peloton tread, row, or bikes risk-free with a 30-day home trial. New members only. Not available in remote locations. See additional terms at onepeloton.com/home-trial.